everyone. I'm Emma Gustafson. I'm one of the first grade teachers, and we have all three of our first grade teachers on here and our aide, Mrs. Mack. If you guys want to say hi real quick.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Karasik.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Haig.
And I'm Mrs. Mack.
So we'll go ahead and get started. So we're going to go over the schedule, the curriculum, some remote learning expectations, some tips, and if you guys have any questions. So our daily schedule is the first hour is literacy. And the first hour is literacy, and the second will be specials. And during that literacy hour, it obviously is not going to go the entire block, as we're going to allow time for some asynchronous learning. The second block of literacy, starting at 10, will allow us to give some whole group learning, but also that's the time where we're really going to utilize our small groups. And that's when like Mrs. Mack will be around. We have Miss Carol and Miss Hannah, who will all be helping us with small groups.
And Miss Borman.
Yes, Miss Borman will be helping us small groups during math. So at 12 o'clock, we are departmentalized for our writing, social studies, and science. And so I teach science, Miss Grasso teaches writing, and Mrs. Haig is our social studies teacher. So during that time, they'll rotate around, which is great because in second grade, they are departmentalized for all of those subjects in addition to math. And then in the upper grades, they're departmentalized completely. So it's really a good way to kind of get them adjusted into that system as they keep going up in a slow fashion. And then 1 to 2 o'clock hour is our math, and 2 o'clock is office hour. So if you need any help or any questions, that's the time you can pop in, and we'll be available for any additional help that you may need. Just a side note, as I'm sure you've noticed, that each class will end 10 minutes early to allow for a passing period and a break, and to give the teachers time to switch over to the next subject. So here are our norms and expectations that we've shared. The kids have been doing great. Just make sure every day that they're coming prepared with all the supplies that we've talked about, including a bucket of books to have next to them. I know that this week we started doing that. That'll really allow us to help us in our literacy block. And just keep reminding your child to be focused and respecting other students, so not chatting in the box, not just like we were in the classroom, using respectful words when they are sharing with one another. And also just staying in the frame, not leaving, keeping their camera on, not having toys or any other distractions with them. Another really important thing that we're really trying to utilize more is headphones, just because that helps cut down any distractions for them, and as well as gives them that opportunity to become more independent in the classroom. So it gives you an added bonus of them being more independent from you. These are our special teachers. These teachers are give the kids a really well-rounded education. So how we're doing specials during remote learning is that they'll have one special per week, and then it will rotate the following week. So they'll have the same special the entire week, and certain specials will not be available to the student until the second quarter. Miss Court is our technology teacher. Miss Kelly does art. This year they'll have Mr. Lopez for PE, and Mrs. Askovich is the STEM teacher. Mrs. Cerna is our music teacher. So we're going to dive into the curriculum a little bit, and you'll be receiving the curriculum map, but we just wanted to give you some pointer details on it that you might need to know. So for science, as well as the other departmentalized, we'll be meeting 2 times a week, and our first subject is structure and function in information processing. Then we'll move on to lights and sound, human body, and the space systems. And these are all NGSS aligned. We're going to try to make it as hands-on as possible, but obviously with them being home and not being able to have the materials, it's going to be a little more difficult, but we're making do. For language arts, we're going to be doing whole group instruction in the morning, like we talked about, and our small group instruction. So we just started that this week, and as we go, they're going to get more frequent, and hopefully we're going to keep cutting down the size, so it'll be a lot more individualized attention for your student, which will be awesome. And during this time, we're still going to be following our daily 5 and cafe model, which will allow them to have some independence and time to work on writing, to independent reading. They can listen to reading as well, so we'll be utilizing the RAS kids. And during our small group time, we're going to be differentiating the curriculum that still aligns with what we're doing in whole group, but we'll make sure that it is aligned to what their specific needs and with students that are at their level as well. In order to do that, we are going to be doing the next 2 to 3 Fridays, depending on how much time it takes us. We'll know more after this Friday. We're going to be taking each student individually and TRCing them, which is an individualized reading assessment in which the student will read to us and we can find where they are in the reading level. So how that's going to work on Friday is it'll be a normal morning up until lunch. So then after that lunch hour, so at 12 o'clock, we'll be pulling only one student at a time. So there'll be students will be doing asynchronous learning and will not be coming back on with us after lunch because unless you are obviously signed up for that day. And so we'll be taking from 12 to 3 o'clock. We'll be testing the students and their reading. And that's, again, one student at a time. So
can I just do something with the language arts really quickly? That's where also we're going to be incorporating the grammar and the phonics as well into that block as well.
Yeah, that's with our Common Core curriculum, for sure. So the teachers, your student's teacher will be sending a sign-up genius this week to sign up for time starting on this Friday. And again, we're hoping to get it done in fewer Fridays as possible, but we're going to see how this first one goes, and hopefully we can get that all taken care of. Ms. Crossing, if you want to take over from here.
Okay, and then on this page, you would go ahead and find sight words. Sight words are words that the students can use, and they should know how to spell them and recognize reading them within 1 second. So on this page, you're going to find the rainbow sight words. And it's kind of a guide for you guys to practice with them at home. And you start off kind of coloring the rainbows, the colors of the rainbow, so red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. And once they can read and write the 6 words in that one box, they will advance to the next level in hopes to color each portion of their rainbow.
Oops, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I will be the first grade writing teacher. And so we use Lucy Calkins at Sauganash Elementary. And this is where the first graders will work on writing small moment stories, which is something that I know a lot of you have heard and experienced this week with the kids drawing and writing. They will also be writing nonfiction chapter books, persuasive writings, and a whole series of fiction modeled after authors in which they enjoy reading and how-to books. The children will have celebrations when they publish their writing. So I know that that's going to be a little bit difficult as we are remote, but I will try to be as, I will try to somehow make it special and enticing for them to go ahead and continue and promote their love for writing and just to get their details and promote them to not be so scared and not like writing, but I want them to get a passion and grow into writing more. They will have the opportunities to share with others and enjoy listening to each other's writings.
And real quick before we go to the next slide, if you miss anything, this is recorded, so you will be able to catch it again.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Also, one thing I was just going to say about the writing, all 3 of us on Monday morning, we do a My Weekend News. I think you may have seen it. It was a stapled copy. We asked you to place it in a folder. Just, Sunday or, if you're talking to your child, like, hey, that was a really funny thing that happened. Remember on Saturday, that might be a small moment that you could write about for your over the weekend news. Sometimes, believe it or not, I know you're doing a lot of fun things with your kids. Could just be a good meal or something they like, maybe a new movie. And they will sit there and say, well, I don't know what I'm going to write about, and I can't think of anything to write about. So just a little prompt, Sunday night or sometime, thinking of a little moment that they could write about Monday morning at breakfast, like, hey, remember this was, why don't we try writing about that today?
And Mrs. White, that's a good point, because it's really cute, because if you keep a collection of them at the end of the year, when you start going back to seeing how your kids were writing in the fall and progressing to the spring, it kind of helps you recall these great moments that you guys shared together that you might have been like, oh, yeah, I do remember doing that.
And it's almost like a diary of first grade, because you do everyone every Monday. And it's interesting when you look at these, you'll think, wow, I didn't think too much about that, what we did, but that must have, had a big impact, and they will end up writing about it. So.
Exactly. Great points, guys.
Okay, our math. I think our math is rocking. So Sagadash has Envision 2.0 math, and it's learning through videos, practicing through classwork, assessments, and checkpoints. So there's a video that we all kind of watch together, and then there's classwork that, depending on which teacher, they might have the kids do work on them independently, we work on them together, and then there's little snippets of checkpoints that are assigned through Google Classroom, which I just gotta say, high five to all the parents. Thank you for helping navigate your child through these checkpoints, through Envision. It was new for all of us, but honestly, we are so proud of them and the first graders, you guys, us and them, of all of us navigating through this unfamiliar times together. So rock stars to the parents. We also allow the kids to use manipulatives and small group work, and this is where Mrs. Borman, Miss Hannah, and ourselves will be pulling small groups based on the kids' capabilities and levels when we have the chance to assess what they're able to do. Also, throughout the Google Classroom, in the next week or so, we will be uploading differentiated packets based on what your child's level is, so that allows you to go ahead and practice additional work at your free will if you guys would like, and we would have it accessible, available for you to print at home. Envision Math covers many concepts, including addition, subtraction, place value, geometry, measurement, problem solving, and prepares them for second grade concepts. And Scholastic book orders. So I think that we all emailed the parents, and Scholastic book orders are back. You can still order Scholastic books even though we aren't at school in the next week. So I think that they should have been sent out. Please look out for an email that contains your classroom code to place online book orders. These orders will be sent home each month via email, and it's a great way to get your students reading at home and help develop a love for reading. Orders will be shipped to school, and then we are going to organize a way to come get your orders on a specific date and a specific time.
Ms. Haig, you want to take over from here?
Yep, sure. Okay, so I will be the social studies teacher for all of the students. It's that big, thick orange book that says My World. That, I believe the cover looks similar. It has American flag on it. Here are some of the concepts in there, and also the and some of the holidays that we will be celebrating, incorporating there. It's My Communities, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, holidays around the world, Black History Month, Chinese New Year, traditions we share, our past, our present, and Memorial Day. We did start this week on it. One thing that I was going to ask, and I think the teachers, the books, the orange books, there's the first part of it is all about Illinois, which we will look at. So if you could just put a Post-it, a bookmark, or a marker, something in there on the last lesson. It takes the kids, it's a thicker book, it takes them a while to find, we're working on, I think, 4, 5, and 6, and 7. It was confusing because there was a little Illinois part, so it was very hard for them to find the pages. So if you can just put a little, bookmark, something, a Post-it. Last year I used Post-it notes in the classroom. The kids kind of liked them, lifting them, and then we did the lesson. I'd say put the Post-it back down. I mean, we did lose a lot of Post-its, but just give them another one, and it just makes it easier. And I know you're busy. I know you're on calls or you're working other children. I really don't want them to have to bring you the book and say, "Mom, I can't find page 7." If you can do that, that would be helpful. And also, I think the other teachers would agree with in the math books. If there's a way you could put another color, a Post-it in there, so they could just flip it open, and then we can instruct them to move that Post-it. That would be great.
Do you know what page number that was, or section? Some parents wanted to know.
I believe now we haven't completed it yet. This week we were working on lesson 1 in social studies, but I also see them twice a week, so I haven't seen everyone yet. So by the end of the week, we should be finished with lesson 1. And also during this social studies time, when you're with me, you may also see them reading from the book. You may see me reading it. Like today, we were circling heading words. There are parts that they can read in. I do try to write it on my board too, so they can copy something. Last week we did a little bit, looked at the social studies book, and then also we went into the Ralph Kids, and I posted a social studies book about, I believe it's about good citizens, and we read that together. So you may see us doing some reading work as well, but it will typically be about social studies, like concepts or things that we're learning. So you may see that going on.
And today, the lesson 1 started on page 4.
Okay, thanks.
Just so you know.
So we did 4 or 5, maybe 4 to 6. Depends on the group. I mean, how many pages we got. So you can kind of
up to 7.
And there'll be some writing.
4 to 7.
4 to 7. Okay.
Mrs. Kelly and Miss Court are both on here. Did you guys want to introduce yourself? We showed your picture a minute ago, but would you guys want to say a quick hello?
Or Miss Court, if you go, and then I'll go after you.
All righty. Hello, everybody. I'm Terry Court. I am the technology person, I should say. Sorry.
You do the work of a lot of people, though.
Yeah, we just came from the kindergarten curriculum night session. I know a lot of you from last year, so technology has kind of jumped way up a few notches this year with remote learning. And I just really quickly want to start off with, first of all, thank you to moms and dads, grandmas and grandpas, aunts and uncles, and everyone assisting all of the students at home. We could not do what we do without you. And I want you to know that we celebrate your successes, because it's both you, your students, as well. It's you and your students' successes a lot of the time. So thank you. We're going to be working, making sure we understand Google Meets. It's all new for the first graders, that they can navigate through it, that they can become more independent as quickly as possible. I would rather see them do small parts of things independently than getting tons of assistance. And it's so important that they learn, we get through the learning curve, and they understand what they need to do on technology. I am there if you or any of your children need help. Reach out to me via email. I'll put it in the chat. We're doing some renovation of the website, so right now our emails are not on the chat or in the Saguenash website, but I'll throw it in there. But please reach out if you have any technology issues. I know some of the Chromebooks have been lagging and freezing. We're working with CPS. I do have a couple workarounds. You can email me and I will send you a couple suggestions. I am excited for this year. I can't, I know by the end of this first quarter, your students are going to be so much further along with technology than you ever thought possible. And they're going to be teaching us things. So I'm excited to work with you. I do not see first grade until the second quarter. So I will see you in November and hopefully, fingers crossed, in school. But if not, we'll make it work. And I'm going to send it over to Mrs. Kelly.
Okay, I'm so happy Control D works to open my microphone. I had a student taught me that. I was going, I hate this box that pops up and down. And this boy went, Mrs. Kelly, press Control, press D. And I went, wow. So our kids really are learning technology, and I needed that. It's like this new awesome trick. Good job, Ms. Court. I am Mrs. Kelly. I am your children's art teacher, and kudos to all of you for navigating this. My kids are grown up. I can't even imagine how hard it must be to run your lives and help your kids learn. I've been the art teacher at Sauganash School. This is my 19th year, so it's been more than 8 years. I'm on my 19th year, and I've been a Sauganash resident for 26 years. So I've been around for a long time, and I really do enjoy meeting your children when they start so young, and I have the unique privilege of watching them grow and develop and change, and then finally graduate, and it's so exciting for me to be able to do that. So I'm an art specialist. I teach your children art, and I also have a graduate degree in math, and so I try as often as I can to combine the art and math, because I truly believe it leads to kind of the three-dimensional visual thinking skills, as well as teaching interesting art history and interesting art concepts. It also helps develop their brains. I have your children now during first quarter, and then second quarter, I don't believe I have first grade, and then I will have them again during third quarter. I believe that's how it will be. So it's nice to meet you all. I noticed they showed a picture of me holding a dog, and that dog chewed up my homework. This was the example drawing I was doing for first grade, and he was running around with it. And I went, no, my first graders need that. So I thought that was funny just as soon as I came on. It was nice to meet you all.
Thanks, Mrs. Kelly, and thanks, Ms. Court. They are great assets to our team, and we couldn't get throughout the day without them. The kids really enjoy going to those specials.
Amen.
Mrs. Haig?
Yep. Did you want to go back to the
We come back.
tip?
You go ahead.
Okay, so the tips. So these are just things that we've been thinking about since last week and yesterday and today, that maybe we haven't communicated in an email to you, or we try to do reminders. These are things that would help us with everything. So you can contact us via email. We are also available during our office hours from 2 to 3 in your child's Google Classroom labeled homeroom/SEL, SEL, which is social emotional learning, during that time. Also, if your child's going to be absent, you do need to call the school to tell them that they're going to be absent. One thing we want to make sure is that the supplies and books should be near the students in their work area. I know Ms. Gufsis already talked about, like today, I know I dismissed, I think they did too, and I told them to go find some books and sit quietly and read. But what you can have is next to you a basket or a bucket of books, and you can keep recycling them weekly if you'd like. Shuffle them around, reading them to you. What are they, do they have it down? Then let's get rid of that book. Let's put a new one in, and that's just constant looking at, thinking of their interests, thinking of their reading levels, that kind of thing. We talked about the math and the social studies with the Post-it. That's important. Headphones, to strive for some independence. Sometimes I know I need to mute, the kids need to mute, and we can mute them, but I really want them to do that. So sometimes, unless they're really struggling because of the Chromebook, that I understand, but like parents really try to let them mute, or we're giving them signals, we're talking to them. It kind of keeps them paying attention, and we are, like I said, well aware that sometimes those Chromebooks are slow and there is a delay in the response. So we are well aware of that. One thing, also, maybe thinking about, you know, when your child's working in their work area, if there's a technical difficulty, if they cannot find the page, they're looking for something, then they can come, you know, and find you. But trying to let them sit by themselves is good. I mean, I know the first week we had a lot of people kind of sitting with their child, but honestly, there's usually at least one teacher. There's always a teacher, and possibly an aide or someone else, and we can, you know, kind of help them. They know we've gotten signals. They know to raise their hand. They know to wave their hand if we're not responding to them, that we can help them. So,
And then, Mrs. Haig, kind of piggybacking off of what you're saying, we're really promoting the independent work. You know, a lot of the kids know more than they're letting you know that they know, and we want to see that. So we are there always for them to ask questions. Their go-to person at that moment when they're in class should be us, not the mom or dad sitting next to them. So I think that if you kind of just get up and walk around, and you know, I have kids, so I like to hover sometimes too to make sure that they're on task, but you got to kind of separate that, because if we are mimicking a gen ed classroom as much as possible to make that this transition as easy as possible, you wouldn't be in the classroom with your student and with your child anyway. So let's take that away, because we want to see what they're able to do. We don't want to see what they're able to do with your assistance, if that makes sense. And I'm trying to say that in the nicest way possible.
yes, and also like we're also trying to get them to do, they love the chat box. And sometimes when we're waiting, I'll pose a question, or at the end, if tell them that they're really good listening, great workers, we can go into the chat box. So that's kind of and when everything is spelled perfect and there's 3 or 4, hard, I might, like after lunch, I'll put the prompt, what did you have for lunch? Let them try and practice, practice a word. I mean, I figured out quesadilla. I figured out tuna, which was tuna. We can kind of figure it out. And if we don't know, we say, we call them and say, hey, what did you have? So just try to let them learn the chat box. And we're not looking for perfect spelling right now at all. So that was the other thing. Okay.
And to make that easier also, if you have an extra mouse, or if you can get one, having a mouse for them, a separate mouse is not just the pad, is a lot easier for the students as well, to make that muting and unmuting a little easier.
Okay, and the last thing. So one other thing we have is, I know they have notebooks. So we have a total of 4 notebooks. Mrs. Karasik would like a writing notebook, and it should just say, like, number 1, writing notebook. The writing notebook will be used for writing class with Mrs. Karasik. It's a way versus keeping a paper here, a paper there, and then she may have I don't know if you want to talk, Andriana.
Oh yeah, you know what? You can, if your child needs help navigating and you're there, that's fine. However, if your child needs help adding or subtracting or understanding a lesson, we should know that. I would like to know if the kid is doing the quick check and they're getting hundreds, that tells us, the teacher, that they understand the concept correctly and 100% without assistance. So we want them to try to do that individually as much as possible. And we are there one-on-one. And with my class today, I had them doing whole group. I had them doing the breakout session in homeroom, where I was able to gauge them one-on-one. We are there to support them. We don't want you helping them as much, because it doesn't tell us what we need to help them with.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I think Ms. Haig wanted you to talk about the writing notebook. Ms. Karasik.
Right. Oh,
you want to? Sorry, I was answering the question in the chat.
No, it had to be addressed anyway. No.
It's fine. We were going to address it at the end, but you just go right
Yes,
to it.
go ahead. Writing notebook.
Okay, so yes, the writing notebook we are going to use strictly for writing. So I had all the kids this week and last week pull out a writing notebook, and on it I had them write writing notebook and my name. And the reason I need that is because with Lucy Calkins, we formulate a lot of ideas. We have graphic organizers, and I want all those ideas and all that pre-writing all in one place. I don't want some in this notebook, some in this notebook. I want it easy, accessible, and organized because, like any writer, all your thoughts and ideas need to be organized in order for your final draft and your publishing.
Great.
Okay. And then a word work notebook will be used for word work, exactly what it is. Right now we started sight words yesterday. I'm sorry, word sorts. So Friday is the day they would glue those sorts down. We do day 1 activity, cut and sort. Today we highlighted. Day 3, we might do sentence writing. We have little activities for each one. And thank you for keeping them in a little Ziploc. But on Friday, that is when they will glue those down. So we do. So please, that is something that would go in the word work notebook. If we do other short A word work, it would be in the notebook. So you'll see that in there. You'll also see maybe sight words, like snap words, like we were talking about the rainbow words. That if we're saying write the, go, write it, write it. That would be in a word work. We will call out what it is. It just takes a while for the students to figure out which one it is. The journal, which is the composition book, but / journal, we will be using that for writing prompts. My students wrote about whales today, 3 facts about whales. We will be using that as a journal.
Yes, and also the reading response. Right.
Well, I thought 3 was reading response. No.
Yes, I think you were going back to it. Sorry. Go ahead.
No. So, and then also you will need, okay, so my colleagues, okay. Oh, so my journal is down here. I'm so sorry. I think I jumped to number 4. So 4 was the journal, the composition book, and that's what it says on there. Then the reading response notebook is something where we actually did it last year. It was called a home reading response notebook, and it worked out great. It was Wednesday's night homework. The child read a book, and then they had a list of prompts glued to the inside cover. Then the child would read the book, and then they would respond. I like the ending because, you know, I predicted something, and they draw a picture. They wrote the title. So it was a great way to read and have a response. But we are going to try and do that as we're in class with a book that they've read or that we've read to them. So
yes, there's a question. Is it 3 or 4 notebooks? So when we had sent out the original email, we thought that 3 would be sufficient enough. However, in order to keep with the organization, we felt like 1 more would be necessary. So parents, if it's okay, can you get another notebook for your child so that it can be labeled as the reading response? Thanks for that question.
So for our classroom management, we are going to be using Class Dojo this year. In school, we have CHAMPS, which is the expectation for all the classrooms. And when we're moving around the school, it's the different voice levels. It's what you should be, what activity you should be doing, and so on. This year, we're going to be using Dojo, which if you've had a 2nd grader go through Saguenash before, you're probably familiar, as the 2nd grade team has used it for a few years. But we'll be using this so that the students can monitor their own actions, and we can relay that information to you, as well as they can be accountable for their own actions. But they'll be rewarded on Dojo for showing good behavior during their meets, and they will lose points for misbehaviors. So each student will have an individual goal as well as a whole class goal. And if they meet their individual goals, they'll get an independent work time pass. And if we meet our whole class goal, then we'll have a whole class virtual party. So how it kind of works is if I'm seeing somebody who's participating a lot, I'll give them the extra participation points, and I'll mark it in the app, and it goes straight to your phone, so you can keep track of it in live time. And you know, if they need some constant redirection, there are also points that I can take away from them, so that they can remember to get back on task and to not repeat that behavior for the following day and later. And also it's a great tool because then you can kind of communicate with them, because I'm sure after school you're familiar with when you ask kids how it went, or like last year they used, I know they used the pin system in kindergarten. I'm sure they came home and you're like, well, why are you on that color? And usually they've forgotten or don't know why. So it's a great way for you to be able to see how their day's going, and also a great way for them to have a fun way to earn points. And it's going to be really great virtually because we don't have a lot of incentive otherwise for them. So I think it'll be kind of a fun way to make it a lot like a normal classroom. And that's really all the slides we have. I think we've answered most of the questions. Oh, and one more thing about Dojo is your classroom teacher, if they haven't already, will be sending you an invite code so that you can set up your child's account. And that's how you can get connected with it. It's just an app on your phone. I'm pretty sure I've covered most of the questions in the chat, but if there's anything else, feel free to write it in there or unmute yourself and we can answer those questions for you. Gym class will be, if your student hasn't had it already, they will shortly. And Mr. Lopez will be doing some physical activities during that, yes. It is not the same Dojo account, the same program, but you'll have to make a new account for your specific child.
And then 107 had gym last week. So this is Karasik. So I think it's on a rotating basis. So if you haven't gotten already and not this week, then you're coming up next week probably. Thanks,
there is no homework assigned, but it's all work that we're doing asynchronous time. So a lot of times we'll be like, especially now that we're in small groups, we'll give an assignment that they need to go do on their own while we take another group of kids. And yes, they will have specials all 5 days in a row. Oh, sorry, you said that.
Hi, I have a quick question. Is it possible for the first grade teachers to create like a Google Drive with all the documents that?
Sorry, I think you cut out there.
Sorry, I was saying that, is it possible for the teachers to create a Google Drive with all the PDFs or something that the students might need that were printed and given to them, so that we can print it out for them if they don't have it or if they lost it?
So we've been doing that on a need-to basis. So I had a couple parents that perhaps needed the word work, and we uploaded that. If you have not received the brown bags with all the materials, you can go ahead and still pick that up. It's still available at the front office with Miss Maria. However, if you let us know what you need, we can go ahead and upload that into the Google Drive with no problem.
For science, we don't, I'll let you know when we would need materials, but for right now, it's there's nothing extra we'll need. I think that it's hard for the students to be staying engaged during this. Like, I know I get tired after staying on the screen for so long. So as a team, what we're doing is as they get used to it and we get used to it, we're going to hopefully cut down on more of that whole group time and make it more small group time so that they're more engaged. Because if we have a smaller group, we're able to engage them more. And also, we're implementing breaks. And if your student in particular needs a break, obviously we're flexible and we understand that you need to get them up for a minute. Go ahead. We want what's best for the student.
So there's a question on checking on my student after class is being finished. So the teachers are keeping a checklist of which students are participating, showing their work during class. With math, it's automatically uploaded into their Google Classroom where we can go ahead and check to see which child did not or has finished an assignment. And I have personally been sending messages in the Google Classrooms to individual students. Hey, if something wasn't complete, if they didn't submit it. But we're very understanding. We're not, this has to be done by this day. If something was missed for an absence or whatnot, we will excuse it. But in the same sense, we can also give them a couple days to go ahead and finish it during that asynchronous time.
And I was just going to say there is no daily homework. I think someone was asking for that.
Yeah, that's a big shout out. No homework.
Technically, the hours have been shortened as we end it too, but the workload we are trying to make just as equal as that's when like asynchronous work is being done, and just for the child that they do need breaks from staring at a screen all day. So we're trying to get in more asynchronous time. Asynchronous time is also when they're working on their own and I'm not speaking to them and they're given an assignment to work on.
Independently. And then any makeup time or independent asynchronous time is always between 2 to 3. And you know, this is really important to the parents. If there is any point in the day where the child needs help, we are always in our homeroom between 2 and 3 where they can log in and say, hey, Miss Gustafson or Mrs. Haig or Mrs. Karasik, I really needed help with this lesson today, or can you re-explain the directions to me so I can finish this assignment? That's why we're there. So we are always here to support you guys and support the students with whatever help or need they may need. If that makes sense. I'm not sure if a lot of parents knew that.
Also, one thing just to point out, just starting, like we started our words, a lot of our activities are daily reading, writing, math activities. Our word sorts are something, we have a system, we start the new word sort every Monday. Now, eventually, the students will know what to do. So Monday comes and they'll be ready to go. They will be able to cut, they highlight, they read. And right now we're teaching them how to do it. What do we expect on day 1? What do we expect on day 2? So right now we're doing a lot of the teaching. This was for our class, the day 1 of introducing the journal. It's not just open a page. I mean, kids go to the middle of the composition book. You start on the very first page. You use, you use the margin line. You use 2 lines to write. So it's not teeny tiny, it's not large. So these things that we're teaching them, eventually they will have a prompt, or you will come in and you will see for morning meeting, it might be make it Monday, whatever the prompt is, and they'll be like, oh, great. And they're able to put that date on the board. They're able to write the topic and able to get, and do that. But right now we are teaching how to do the writing, what is expected at this time.
And Mrs. Haig,
get in the habit of what are, like I said, with our reading, our writing, and our math, and our expectations. And you'll see it too. You'll see it's pretty clear. It will make sense to you as we do these weekly things.
and building off what Mrs. Haig is saying, a lot of the instruction that we're giving right now is how to. So how to open up your notebook, where do you want to start? So a lot of the asynchronous time is us actually showing the kids how to function and what we are expecting out of them. So classes might run a little bit longer, and the asynchronous independent work is a little bit less. So the more that we explain, the more that we can get the kids in some kind of pattern, then we can go ahead and allocate that asynchronous time where the kids are going to be doing independent work, if that makes sense.
Was there anything else? We're looking through the chat. Or
Students don't have questions for that day, they won't be required to log in. If the students don't have any questions for that day or don't need any help, then they can go ahead and use that 2 to 3 time in order to finish any uncompleted work, read to self. They can go ahead and finish their journal writing, something that they haven't finished throughout that day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and Ms. Gustafson, you just responded to that message.
Yeah.
Beat me to the punch.
Are there any other questions? You can unmute or write them in the chat. Mrs. Munns, did you want to say hi? I think you're still muted, Mrs. Munns. Mrs. Munns, I think you're still muted. Just like one of our first graders. Control D. There you go.
I did the Control D. I learned something new. See, this is what happens. The dog starts to bark. I even gave him a bone to keep him quiet. I'm so sorry. I apologize. So I was even having a hard time getting on with the kindergarten. I lost internet. And just so you know, parents, I literally ran downstairs, turned off all the internet, re-logged in. So all the things Miss Court and my colleagues have taught me has saved me, that is for sure. Remember, I was a teacher that used chalk when I started. And if we had color chalk, that was exciting. So we've come a long way in education. So I just wanted to welcome everybody. Thank you so much for participating. I know that these are difficult times, but I think we're all getting through this beautifully. We're learning from each other. We're open to suggestions. You have a great team working with your students. The nice thing is, as I'm sure you heard in introductions, the years of service and hard work that working with children, all we say is we're still teaching, we're just using a different platform to get the learning to happen. So I appreciate all you and the team effort. We thank you so much for you to be able to support your children. And if there's anything that we can do, I know that the teachers and support staff and administration are here for you for any questions. So please feel free to reach out via email. All our contact information, I'm sure, was already shared. So just wanted to welcome everybody. Thank you for being here.
Oh, one thing that I was also thinking about, this is just to add on, I'm replaying my days in my head and trying to think, if you could just remind the students when it is their break, you know, we tell them, move away from the computer, move around, walk around, go get a cold drink, go get something to eat. But they sometimes forget about the bathroom. So when we come back, they do need to go to the bathroom because they probably forgot to go because they're so excited to, you know, go have that snack or a drink or whatever. Just reminding them would be great. The other day, I think I lost half my class to the bathroom, but it's like, because one person started asking and then the second class, and it is okay to use the bathroom. And I think someone just put in the chat, like, we have signals, like it's a number 1 if you need the bathroom. And I would just in the classroom shake my head, or I'd say, not yet, you know? So I'm going to kind of bring that back. I'm sure the other teachers use the signals too. By all means, they can go to the bathroom. But I mean, sometimes then the chair is empty for quite a long time. So I mean, just if you can kind of remember, you know, the bathroom, and they can just give us a signal. Some of them are very polite and will unmute and ask to go to the bathroom. But just if you could just remind them, that would be great.
Exactly. Are there any other questions that anyone has? They can write in chat, or if you want to unmute. And we'll be sharing this whole thing, and I can